What is up, everybody? Super Yankee for Life here once again, and welcome to my NFL Picks 2012 week number 4. And I gotta say, as we're reaching the first quarter of the NFL season, I gotta say, I believe there are teams like the Arizona Cardinals who are 3-0. I think are legit contenders in the NFC, because that defense, that front seven is just completely nasty, and gotta give credit where credit is due. I mean, that defense is good. I don't know about Kevin Kolb as a quarterback, but if he can continue to not turn the ball over and play well and be smart, and of course you got Larry Fitzgerald, because one of the best wide receivers in the game. He'll be just fine in that department. But I think the Arizona Cardinals could be a team to be reckoned with in the NFC. Getting right to it. NFL picks, I'm not going to do the scores because that's just kind of stupid in my personal opinion. We'll start with the Thursday night game. Cleveland at Baltimore. Baltimore coming off a very emotional win over New England. Torrey Smith had a great game despite unbelievable circumstances with his brother passing away. He didn't have to play he didn't have to play, but he did. He was just phenomenal. Wow. For some reason the recording stopped. My bad. Or froze up. But as I was saying, Torrey Smith, he didn't have to play if he didn't want to, but he did, and he played phenomenal. As for the defense of Baltimore, I think giving up 30 to New England was a bit of a setback. Of course, when you're playing Tom Brady, that's going to happen. But as for Cleveland, they're just trying to rebuild for the future. They're coming off a loss to Buffalo. Whedon, rookies are going to take their bumps. Obviously, Cam Newton's no exception. He had a record rookie year last year, although he did throw like 18 picks or something like that. But I'm going to go with Baltimore in this one. Cleveland's going to start off 0-4 in my personal opinion, but it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a close game throughout, but I expect Baltimore to edge it out. And besides, Ray Rice had over 100 yards last week, and barely was not even noticed, which speaks volumes to it, how much this team has evolved into a passing team with Joe Flacco, and how far he's progressed. I mean, he used to be a game manager his first couple of years, but now I think he's ready to take that next step. Now to the Sunday 1 o'clock games. Carolina at Atlanta. Atlanta coming off a very impressive road win at San Diego last week. Trying to think who Carolina played last week. Wow, I feel stupid. But anyway, Atlanta coming off a very impressive win over San Diego last week. Matt Ryan, he's a lot's been made about him being 0-3 in the playoffs or something like that. I think it's a little early to judge quarterbacks, especially him, by that. But if he continues to lose in the playoffs, then yes, start to question that. But he'll be just fine in my personal opinion. Cam Newton obviously will give Carolina a chance to win, but I expect Carolina to pull within striking distance, but I expect Atlanta to edge out a win at home over the Panthers, a very game Carolina Panthers. New England at Buffalo. New England. 1-2 start. I mean, obviously they could be 3-0 at this point if Gostkowski makes that field goal and certain calls went their way last week against Baltimore. As for Buffalo, I don't know about Buffalo. Buffalo's one of those teams that I think could be really good, but they just seem to be just underachieving, in my personal opinion. I mean, they went out and got Mario Williams, and although he has done the statistics don't show how good he's been, but I just feel like he needs to do a little bit more. Offensively, Ryan Fitzpatrick, C.J. Spiller, who I think is filling in for Fred Jackson, the starting running back. I think he's making the most of his opportunities. As for this game, I'm gonna go with New England because I just can't see him starting off the year 1-3, in my personal opinion. I think they'll win by double digits. Minnesota at Detroit. Minnesota coming off a very impressive win over San Francisco last week. Christian Ponder, with the exception of Andy Dalton, played probably the best of any quarterback in the NFL last week. As for Detroit, well, they had one of the craziest games last week. They had one of the craziest games ever last week in Tennessee. They pulled within a field goal. No, they pulled within a touchdown. They get an onside kick. They score a touchdown on the Hail Mary last play, go into overtime, and then on fourth and 1, down 3, they chose to run the ball with like a quarterback sneak, and those types of play calls really just bother me. If you're gonna go for it, give it to your running back, Michael LaShore, who had a pretty decent game last week. So it's just one of those things where, as a head coach, either you kick the field goal or you give it to your running back. Don't try to sneak it with the quarterback. But that's just my personal 2 cents on that matter. But as for this game, Detroit has to win this game, because if they don't, they're in some serious trouble. Because I don't think Minnesota can contend, but I think it's only a matter of time before Green Bay catches fire. And based on what happened last Monday night, they are not in a good mood. So I'm going to go with Detroit. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a close game, but I expect Detroit to edge it out. San Diego at Kansas City. San Diego laid a huge egg last week at home against the Falcons. Kansas City. Kansas City is one of those teams where they got the first win last week against New Orleans, and Jamal Charles is going to be a focal point in this game. I expect him to be. So I'm picking San Diego to win this game, but it won't surprise me if Kansas City wins this game as well. But Jamal Charles, if Kansas City is going to win this game, Jamal Charles will be the main reason why. Or maybe the kicker for the Chiefs, Brian Suckup or Sukup, or where, I don't know how you pronounce that name. Seattle at St. Louis. Seattle. In one of the more bizarre games, bizarre endings you will ever see. Really should be 1-2 right about now, but they are not. But we'll just you've seen the replay like hundreds of thousands of times already in the span of 2 days. Coming off a win over Green Bay, St. Louis, coming off a loss, I think, to Chicago last week. I'm going to go with Seattle to win this football game to start out the year 3-1. Mostly because St. Louis's offense is just, I don't know how to describe their offense. It's just bad. It's really bad. Sam Bradford, he's a good quarterback. I think he has the potential to be really good, but that offense, they got to get more help around him. San Francisco at the Jets. Jets squeaked out a win over Miami in overtime. San Francisco coming off a loss to Minnesota. I expect San Francisco to rebound and really send a message to the Jets. I expect them to win by maybe 2 touchdowns. I think, because San Francisco, I think, is going to be really fired up, because their effort last week was just not that good. Tennessee at Houston. Tennessee getting their first win last week, I think, over Detroit overtime. Houston coming off a hard-fought win over Denver, although Denver made it close to the end. Of course, with Peyton Manning, that's going to happen all the time. Houston is just playing on a higher level than anybody else in the National Football League right now. I think they are the best team in football right now, and I think they will roll over 2 scores, by 2 scores over Tennessee in this one. Oakland at Denver. I can't see Denver. I cannot see Denver going 1-3 with Peyton Manning. I expect them to rebound against Oakland, who had a very impressive comeback win over Pittsburgh last week, and I expect Denver to win by a touchdown. Miami at Arizona. Miami coming off a stinging loss where the coach iced his own kicker. Iced his own kicker. No, he didn't ice his own kicker, but he tried icing the kicker, and then their guys blocked Nick Folk's field goal attempt, but Joe Philbin called timeout before that could happen. But as for Arizona, I said this before, their defense is good. Offensively, if Kevin Kolb cannot turn the ball over, they have Larry Fitzgerald. Who's their running back? I forget. It's not Beanie Wells, I don't think. It more likely is Beanie Wells, but offensively, if Kevin Kolb cannot turn the ball over, of course you have Larry Fitzgerald, they'll be just fine. I expect them to win I expect this team to win Arizona by 10 points over Miami. Cincinnati at Jacksonville. Cincinnati coming off a very hard-fought win over Washington last week. Jacksonville got their first win, although I wouldn't say it was controversial, but it was pretty quick, very sudden over Indianapolis last week. Andy Dalton, I mean, if you saw the potential this guy has with AJ Green, and then Hawkins, they're another receiver who is up and coming in my personal opinion. Defensively, I don't think they'll be able to. I don't think they'll have another letdown because Robert Griffin III and those guys are up in Washington really, they had like what 34-31 the score was or something like that. It was a very close game. I remember that being a close game, watching it. Cincinnati, I think, will continue to be just very good, and they'll go to 3-1 on the year, beating Jacksonville. Now, New Orleans at Green Bay. Green Bay, I would suspect, is very mad over what happened last week and last Monday, and I can't blame him. I mean, if I lost the game, because if my team lost a game like that, I would be upset. And if the Green Bay Packers wind up losing, not making the playoffs by 1 game, that could be the game that really decides it all. New Orleans, they picked a bad time to be 0-3 because I think they're going to go 0-4 in this game after Week 4 because Green Bay is going to be mad and they're going to be fired up. It's going to be at home too, so the fans are going to be fired up, and Green Bay will put a whooping on New Orleans, my personal opinion. Washington at Tampa Bay. Washington coming off a loss to Cincinnati. Tampa Bay coming off a very bizarre loss to Dallas. Offensively, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I don't know what it is. You have Josh Freeman, young up-and-coming running back, LeGarrette Blount, who is more than capable of carrying the ball 25 times, Vincent Jackson, who can stretch the field, and then they couldn't do this. They couldn't stretch the field. They couldn't move the ball vertically until it was too late. So I don't know what to say about Tampa Bay, but offensively they're just in a funk right now. Although defensively they were pretty good last week against Dallas. They forced like 3 turnovers or 4 turnovers or something like that. I'm going to go with Washington to win this game based on the fact that Tampa Bay's offense is just so anemic right now. Go with Washington to win that game. Sunday football, Giants at Eagles. Michael Vick right now, he's not playing his best ball, obviously, and I don't know whether you can contribute that to poor decision making, offensive line, not being able to block him properly. Offensively, the Eagles are on the verge of being just completely exploding. That's how good they can be. On the Giants, the Giants coming off a very impressive win over Carolina. They really put a beatdown on the Carolina Panthers on the road. And I think the Giants will go into Philly and win. I think they will win the game. I think it was a close game throughout, but I expect the Giants to do what they've basically done since 2007. Is just go into hostile territory and under extreme circumstances, and with Eli Manning just being as clutch as he can be, just go out there and win. It'll be a close game, but I expect the Giants to win. Monday Night Football, Chicago at Dallas. Chicago's offense over the last 2 weeks, even in last week's win over St. Louis, was not very good. So they're going to have to sort that thing out. And Dallas's offense was not very much good either last week. Although defensively, the Dallas Cowboys are getting so much better than they were a year ago. But I'm going to pick the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. Close game throughout. Hope you enjoyed my picks. Until next time, Super Yankee for Life signing off. Peace.